off at 3:30 in the morning. Oh, that marigold's pretty dead. The Antho is doing great in this heat. And then we're also watering again in the morning before it gets to be 100. Once it hits 100, you can burn your plants pretty easily, like absolutely like fry them. It's kind of like a magnifying glass, the sunlight on the water, and this tomato really isn't thriving. I probably should move that with the other tomatoes. Purslane, right? It's considered a weed. It does flower, and it's a superfood. Tastes like spinach, but I really wouldn't cook it. It tastes best raw. And I have some seeds in here. I'm sure they'll come up pretty fast in this heat. The cucumbers are holding up. And I'm really saturating this so that it holds till about 1, and I'll come out and put a little bit of water very carefully where it gets on the roots, but not touching the leaves, right? Like I'll hand water, but I'm giving it quite a bit of water, like way more water than I'd ever give a cucumber, just because it's going to evaporate that fast. We have about 3 more days of really hot that we're dealing with here. You see the celery is looking pretty good, but it's hanging in there. It's kind of turning into smoothie material. Some more squash that came out. I put a whole bunch more squash out, squash seed. Squash is one thing that handles the heat a little better. We've got a few more carrots left we haven't harvested. And I took the seeds off of the onions and I crumbled those into the garden. And as long as nothing that's coming in like the quail or the rabbits. Hey, good morning. Chanel Princess Twilight Sparkle. Hi, how's it going today? Thanks for joining me. Anyway, I crumbled the seeds into the garden for the onions. Hopefully some of those come up and nothing eats them. I'm finding that the wildlife here, they're pretty tolerant of eating things that you don't really expect them to want to eat, because usually things don't really like onions and garlic that much. But last year I kind of feel like something ate a lot of the onion starts and the seeds, so we'll see. All you can do is try. And I have more onion seeds to add too, like maybe in the fall. And I can't believe this tag is still holding some writing on it. That's crazy, because most everything that I wrote on tag here so far is lifted from the sun. Do I know what a mod means? No, I'm afraid I don't. Maybe you can enlighten me. It hasn't quite hit 100 yet, and so I'm getting this water out here while I can. Ooh, something germinated here. It looks like something dug it up. Let's see if we can. That's interesting. I don't remember actually putting any seeds out here. Let's find something pokey. You know what? A rock will work. Let's bury that root for whatever this is. Oh, yeah. I don't make any money on my channel, so no, I'm not looking to hire a mod. But thank you so much. If I ever have a big enough following where I can't keep up with it, I'll definitely consider it though. Okay, thanks so much. I guess you mean mod as in moderator, right? Is that what you're talking about? I definitely go and I definitely go and check my comments, and no matter what you do, there's always going to be somebody that says something rude. So if I see something like that, I will definitely take them off the channel. You know, I don't want anybody to be offended by any inappropriate comments that someone might make. And I try to take people's comments into consideration, you know, like it's a question. You know, I don't have everything right, you know. I'm learning too as I go. Let me see. Oh, looks like I have eat a leaf. Okay, I'm definitely going to do that at some point. I don't know if I want to eat any of these celery leaves, though. They look pretty awful. But it's pretty bright out here, so I can't quite see everybody's name. But good morning. Hello. Thanks for joining us. So check this out right here. This is mullein. It's a medicinal herb, and this is very hardy, and it is dealing with this heat just fine. Again, I'm not a doctor or a nutritionist, but I'm growing medicinal herbs because they could potentially be useful. One of the things that I've learned about mullein is it's good for lung ailments, and it's good for fighting gram-negative and gram-positive bacteria, so that's pretty impressive. I have no experience with using it though, so do your own research, but look at that. This is holding up in the heat just great. All right, let's come over here. Our apricot, it looked pretty horrible yesterday after it hit 118, but it's recovered. And there's a cucumber vining up through here. Let's see if we have any more cucumbers on here. Is it gonna make any more in this heat? It looks like it's flowering. It thinks it's dying, right? I'm sorry, did you just call me a coward? Well, to each his own. Don't worry, I'll be eating plenty of leaves. Are you, so to the person who called me a coward, are you afraid of vegetables? Yeah, it's a really pathetic looking cucumber. This cucumber, everything is just suffering. We've had 121, 119, 118 degree temperature. Thankfully, we're not as hot as Death Valley, because I'm thinking, I'm not sure if I would live through those temperatures, but man, it has been really hot here. And it's hard. Putting some water on the plants. You want to say good morning to everybody? Come on out and say good morning.
Hi, everybody. It's me.
Somebody called me a coward because I didn't pick a leaf and eat it. Do you want to pick a leaf? Do you want to pick a celery?
One?
The celery. Do you know what the celery looks like?
Yes. Where it is.
Okay. It's in the garden. All right, we're going to go over here. All right, Mr. Painter's going to eat. Look for a healthy leaf, yeah.
That's healthy.
Yeah, don't eat a like really dud looking one.
Are you kidding me? Watch this.
So he's not a coward.
And you want to laugh? This tastes better than the store.
Well, that's pretty awesome too.
And I know there's no pesticides on it.
There's no pesticides.
And no chemicals. And you know what? We'll put these in our smoothie.
There we go. That's what I'm using that for, because it's actually really skinny celery, but it's great in smoothies and soup.
It's very good too. It's tender and nice. You would like it.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You feel better about that? He's not ugly. Is that what you're saying, Natalie? He's pretty awesome. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met, too. Chanel, thanks for subscribing. You'll eat it with tacos. Ooh, that's an idea. I haven't thought about that. You know, actually I haven't made tacos in a while. I really like tostadas. Those are pretty awesome. Okay, so one thing about this climate is you want to make sure things get enough water, but you don't want to overwater them, because too much water will kill something faster than underwatering. It's such a hard balance. It's really tough here. You can see my spearmint is surviving, but it's pretty unhappy. Maybe it'll drop some more seeds for us, huh? Even the paddle cactus doesn't like this weather. We went for a drive last night, and we were looking at the trees, and everything is suffering from this heat. These are watermelon seeds. Who knows? They're alive. And I think there's a problem with the bubbler here for the bird of paradise and this aloe. Thankfully, we have a whole bunch of aloes, but let's put a little water on it just because it doesn't look too happy, right? It doesn't need that much. I know this bird of paradise is pretty heavy because this stuff is growing out in the wash. It'll be interesting to see if the wild bird of paradise lives through this heat. I have some squash here. It's hanging in there. By midday, it doesn't look too happy, but it recovers with the water in the evening. Anything that grows on this side of the yard is pretty tough. There's our sun oven. This thing works awesome if you have sun. Pistachio. Usually I don't add any water to this pistachio, but I'm actually giving anything that's growing out here a little extra water right now because that's how hot it's been. Tell you what, I feel sorry for anybody that doesn't have air conditioning. Here's our fig that my friend Julie and I rooted. It's holding up pretty good here on this wall. Figs actually like this wall. These are definitely heat tolerant. If this bird of paradise dies, guess what I'm putting here? Another fig, right? When we first moved in here, a friend was saying, what are you going to cover that wall with? Well, it's pretty hard to cover the wall here. Let me tell you, the wall's hot. That's a grapefruit that came up from our ruby red grapefruit that dropped fruit, and so it lived, and I thought, you know what, let me plant this. You don't always get a true replica from a seed, but this, whatever it is, it's pretty hardy, right? I'm assuming it's some variation of a grapefruit because this is our hot wall. Not too much is doing well right here. Here's our kumquat. This kumquat is a rock star. It actually held up pretty well in the heat yesterday. And ooh, look, you see that? There's a nice kumquat sitting on down there. It's putting fruit on. Honestly, anything that survives this week, I'll be so thankful. This is record heat we're experiencing. It looks a little rough. It's not completely happy, but it's alive. I'll be doing some pruning here at some point, but not right now. I kind of feel like too much pruning right now would probably stress the trees. Oops. So normally I don't give this fig extra water, but in this heat, yep, it's getting water. Not too much, but some. Looks like we're gonna get some more figs. They're getting lighter. Some of them are drying up though. That's what clued me in to give it a little extra water, right? Figs are super good. The best ones are the ones that set in on the spring. The ones you get later in the season aren't as good, but they're still good. The ones that set on in the spring are super juicy and sweet. They're wonderful. And these are two different types of figs, and I planted this one such a long time ago, I don't remember what it is. But this one over here, I believe, is a Desert King, so we'll see if it comes out king on top, right? All right. See, our turtles are still over there. And this is our additional apple, and it's showing a little stress here. There's see a dark mark on this one. It's the first time this apple tree is fruited, and it is not very happy right now. You can tell by these curled leaves, right? I don't think anything's going to be that happy after this heat wave. You just have to come to peace with that. You don't want to overwater it though, right? Just enough to give it a little drink. And this is a mandarin, and it hasn't fruited. I can't remember if it's year 4 or 5 on this. I'm not sure. We do have some horizontal growth, so that's good. I read that if you have a lot of vertical growth, which this clearly has quite a bit of vertical growth, that the graft may have died, but we'll see. We'll give it time. A lot of our trees don't actually fruit until they hit 5 years. So this one's about due. We do have some horizontal growth, so that's good. It's definitely grown a lot. Right. Let's come over here. Another squash. Probably won't even try squash anymore in this area again, just because it just isn't happy. This paddle cactus is a rock star. And I looked at the nutrition value in this stuff, and this stuff is pretty amazing. We sauteed some a couple of days ago. I basically just took a potato peeler and peeled the outside edge off, holding it with tongs, right? So I didn't get poked by the thorns. Another probably easier method is just to char it and pull the skin off. But I just chopped it up, diced it really, and put it in a pan with some grease or oil, your fat of choice, and stir fried it with some garlic, and it was so delicious. So this is like almost like free vegetables that are acclimated, right? And here is our poor lemon tree. It is not happy. A friend of mine in Arizona says that their lemon tree is looking pretty rough right now too. But we do have some lemons setting on. Miraculously, it's still alive. It looks so great in the spring, and now it's like really unhappy. Poor tree. I'm not entirely convinced that Meyer lemons are suited for this climate. Ooh, actually, I see some lemons up here I hadn't noticed before. I guess it pays to change your angle, so that makes me feel pretty happy. Yay! Hang in there, little tree. The little tree that could, right? A little tree that could. I put some bone meal on it because I read that phosphorus was supposed to help revive lemon trees when they're in rough shape. So I just spread that around, and in the spring we put some of our compost on it. I don't have the ability to generate a whole lot of compost, so I just kind of take turns as I make it, rotating between the trees. And did I mention the comfrey over here? It's still alive. Comfrey is a pretty cool plant. It'll be the first year we had it. I couldn't actually get that to come up from seed. So what I did is I ordered some live plants. My interest in comfrey is if it does grow a lot and put a lot of growth off, one thing you can do is you can use it as compost. So that would be an excellent thing to add to our compost bins over there. And the other thing is comfrey is supposed to help heal bones. So I was kind of thinking, I want to make a salve eventually, using comfrey, arnica, because I know arnica is used by chiropractors for an alternative pain treatment. And I'm thinking if comfrey is good for like actually healing broken bones, I wonder how it'd be for arthritis, right? So maybe combining the comfrey and the arnica together. I don't know what y'all think about that. There's oops, this is turned over. This is what we were using to suck up those Asian leaf-footed beetles that were so nasty. The shop vac, right? It's not plugged in right now, don't worry. I'm not gonna electrocute myself. And these are pomegranates. They're producing, but man, they were really suffering in this heat too. Normally the pomegranates, the figs, and the kumquats do really well, but man, the heat is stressing everything. So let's put a little water on this. You can see some of them have cracked. I read that's because of irregular watering, and I'm not really sure how to get the water regular in this situation. It's just so hard to know what to do. But look at that branch. It's just loaded with them, but that branch is, of course, suffering. We kind of decided to err on the side of a little more water, but we're timing it, right? So we're not doing too much at once. So we have 3:30. This is like 9-ish. And then once the sun is out of the yard, in the backyard again, we'll add a little more water to them in the evening. And during the middle of the day, I'll go out and put a little water on the roots of the squash, just to keep those from drying out. All right, let's see here. Got our cherry tree. The Stella cherry is actually doing really well. I think the location helps. This is the cooler side of the yard. And back over here in the corner, we have tomatillos, we have tomatoes, catnip, and basil. And the catnip is actually supposed to repel those moths that lay the hornworms. Well, that's pretty awesome. I haven't had any problems with hornworms so far this year. All right, let's come over here to this part of the garden. Let's get my hose. I don't want to rough up these grapefruit. Look at these grapefruit. Look at that. This little dwarf ruby red grapefruit, yes, it's suffering from the heat as well. Look at that. It's got all these grapefruits set on. Oops, my phone doesn't like the angle I had it at. There we go. There's more down here. This tree has a little tree that could as well. Oh, here we go. Here's a couple of them right here. This produces full-size grapefruit. It's pretty amazing. And yes, it looks rough. Everything looks rough in this heat. Honestly, I'm surprised it's not all dead at this point. This has been pretty awful. This is our Anna apple. It's pretty compact. It grows, it's got a single stalk at the bottom, and we have had some problems with borers, and I think I succeeded in treating it. But this produces a lot of apples. And this tree is going on 5 or 6 years, and it's a great tree. I really recommend it. It's self-pollinating. And we had to pick our apples while they're green because, again, the heat, it put on so many apples. Hi. Hello. Thanks for joining us. Put on so many apples, I felt like with the heat it would be a strain to the tree. But if you're in a climate that's not quite as hot, you could actually leave them on. So you could enjoy them as green apples, and then you could enjoy them as yellow apples with crimson streaks. And I tell you, when these things are ripe like that, they actually taste like apple pie. It's remarkable. So if you're looking to get a sugar fix without adding any sugar to it, this apple tree is definitely where it's at. It's a great apple tree. And let's take a look at our garden here. Excuse my clutter. I took some of the tomatoes from the hydroponics that were like getting tall and falling over, and I just planted them sideways, like horizontal on the ground, because tomatoes will actually grow roots all along the trunk of the tomato plant. And they seem to have managed the transition. Now, granted, this is a really shaded area. Check out my amaryllis. It bloomed a second time. This is a really shaded area of the garden. So I have some stingy nettle here. Don't touch it. It really does sting. Some parsley that we've cut back. Some spearmint. These are my 2 green tea plants. They were really unhappy where I had them, and so I'm hoping that they'll make it over here. There is a pumpkin coming up here. Right. Oh, something ate a leaf off of it. Darn it all. I guess it needs a little protector tin as well, right? This is a mixture of clary sage. Right here, this leafy. This is clary sage. This is regular sage. And this is marshmallow root. And as you can see, it's getting eaten on by spider mites. But these are all medicinal herbs. But the clary sage is holding up really well in the heat. Over here, I moved our valerian root and our echinacea because they looked like they were really suffering in the spot that I had them in. A lot of times I move plants when I first plant them. And let's see, I think this quinoa died off. It got dried out, unfortunately. But let's see if the other ones are doing okay. I would really love to grow quinoa if I could. Oh, here we go. Look down there. Can you see it? Meg is inside. Meg has been out to do her business, but she is inside hiding from the heat today, which I'm going to be doing as soon as I get done watering all this stuff. So this is working for the quinoa. We have a melon here. I don't remember what kind it is. Another one. So I'm definitely putting more water than I normally would on these things. And notice I kind of had this here to sort of keep the quail from coming through. I don't know if quail like to eat squash or melons or not, but I haven't had too good of luck with those guys. I love them, but they're little buggers. And one of these is a pumpkin, and one of these is not a pumpkin. And I don't remember which is which, but that's all right. And we have more quinoa, and these tints are working. These ones are getting a little shade from the sun and protection from the critters. This is celery root. I brought it outside. It got huge. It looks like that's going to die. That is also celery root. Oops, doesn't like it when I turn sideways. That's also celery root. And I left, see all the yellowish looking dead stuff? That's the tops of some garlic. I left that in here because I have not had any problems with squash bugs this year. Normally, by this time, my husband's killed about 100 and oops, sorry birds. Killed about 100 in a day, right? So this is yarrow. This is also a medicinal herb. And over here, I had to give this some shelter from the sun. It's arnica. This is one of the herbs that chiropractors use. Well, they don't do it themselves, but they have creams with that. It's supposed to be good for pain. It looks like the spider mites are getting it a little bit, but it's alive. This one's feverfew. This is good for pain. It's like an NSAID, NSAID. Happy Tuesday. And this is horseradish. Last year, my horseradish got eaten by a rat. I'm assuming it was a rat. Could have been a rabbit. But I planted like multiples of them. But hopefully at the end of the season, I at least get one, right? And these are doing great. This is the most shaded area in my garden. And I'm putting water in it right now because it's not 100 degrees yet, but it will be. Once it's 100 degrees, you don't want to do that. So you can see the yellow flowers back there. The tallest one in the very back, that's the tomatillo. And the two cages here, left and right, those are regular tomatoes. I think it's a mixture of cherry tomatoes and a Thornton tomato. It's something that I got from Baker Seed Company. I noticed that when you buy like, maybe 3 or 4 packs of seeds from them, they send you often free seeds that are good for where you live at. Now, I've noticed just recently that they seem to have been bought out by another company because it's a different email, and I believe it's a different company name. But they are still sending free seeds. They're just sending like an extra whatever you ordered versus that used to be a nice surprise from Baker Creek. A seed packet you didn't expect that was probably better for the climate you're in. Sometimes that's hard to guess, right? And this is my solar thing. All it takes is a little wind here. Solar lighting here on the patio in the evening is kind of nice, right? Might as well take advantage of that. I have some pretty cool solar lights to put on the trees in the winter. The sparkle lights. It's nice to come out here in the winter when you don't have the leaves, right? And have all the light out. It's kind of, it's kind of cool. I enjoy this. Oh, did you see that bird fly by? That was pretty awesome. Well, thanks for joining me this morning. I hope you have a blessed day. Thanks for watching.